Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about love,
Sex,
connection,
abundance,
joy,
purpose,
peace,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves.
You know, there's just the old saying, love makes the world go round, right? The more in love we are, the world will operate great and we'll have the answer to all our prayers and 5D can come.
I find that to be true.
Which I love, right? And it's with no joke, no pun intended. I mean, that's how we keep ourselves buoyed and propped up when life is shit, is that we just think, but love will get us through. But really what gets us through is our divinity. It's our power. I
guess for me, my divinity and my power is exhibited through love. But love isn't that. It's how does that make sense?
Yeah, how you express,
because
right?
I fucking love love. So whenever I'm into it and whenever I'm really about it, I'm expressing my uniqueness, my divinity, because of my love for love. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Love is tricky because it's been manipulated. Again, as we talk about anything that has touched separation, anything that has been within the sort of 3D framework has been corrupted, right?
Well, if you think about it, romantic love is all sacrifice and chasing and games.
Just toxic.
Faith love, religion. We don't need to write a thesis on that. Everyone at this point who's listened to the podcast is aware of what we feel towards religion and separation. Although faith is beautiful. Faith is beautiful, but when religion is used to control, that is also separation. Every type of love that we have, even the love for hobbies, we get told it has to be turned into something that makes money. Yeah. Every time we touch anything to do with love, there's a degree of expectation and polarity that surrounds it, that cheapens it, that damages it.
Absolutely. So when you take a step back and you look at love and how we've explained it, it really is the act of shining our light for others to see. What sources that light is our divinity. That's our power.
So yeah, that's what I was saying. So shining our light for others to see is effectively our divinity, which is effectively translated into love. Yeah. 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 And we've spoken about this loads, but when we talk about shining our light for others to see, what it means is being authentically and unashamedly us. Yeah.
But our power is good for more than just love.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also
that's
good.
Hard for me to believe, but continue.
Well, you might like this though. It's also good for making magic.
Ooh. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Am I allowed now?
Yeah, just keep talking because obviously I'm going to know. This is basically Liz talking this episode. I'm listening, but I am a captive audience of one. Go on.
There's a lot of lore and ideology and sort of fantasy and ideas and notions around magic, but they all boil down to a single principle, right? Which is that we alone have the power to create. Yeah?
So effectively, everything that is that the rule of magic, or is that the rule of all the fake stuff about magic?
No, it's just the only rule, period. It's not even a rule. It's just the principle.
The only principle of magic is we alone have the power to create.
Correct.
That is number one fundamental principle of magic.
Exactly. That is it.
Okay. Create what?
Whatever we want.
Okay. I'm into this. Continue. People?
No, you can't.
Opportunities.
Opportunities, yes, because you cannot violate the will of another, so it cannot
it goes against the
person.
episode that I literally just talked about in the last one about respecting us and respecting
tolerance
them.
And I thou.
Yeah, all that shit.
And harmony.
Yeah, so you can't obviously create people, but you can create opportunities to meet the right people.
Yeah. So how we do it. So okay, we alone have the power to create, right?
Yeah.
Fundamental principle of magic, that is it. Yeah. Okay. But how we do it.
What do you mean? Sorry, we're rushing this.
Oh, sorry.
What do you mean by we alone? As in you can't do it for me and I can't do it for you?
No, but that a person
what is the word
who is
alone? Because I know
practicing...
every word means something, so that's what I'm asking.
Those practicing magic, that is all. That we have the power to create. You can subtract the word alone.
Oh, so you don't need the universe to come along and give you a pat on the back because you've done well. So it's like, well done, here's what you wanted through your spell. It's just if you really practice, if you want it, you can create it.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But how you create it, why you create it, and who can create, and the when, and the with what. Those are all open for interpretation, right? And that's what have become lore. Yeah. Oh, motherfucker, that's why we had to talk about history and why history is not relevant.
Because it's not relevant to magic?
Exactly.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. Why can't I figure this shit out when I actually channel these fucking outlines?
Honestly, because you need me here.
It's because of all this lore that has been created and developed.
Is that like candles and black cats and broomsticks?
That's the least of it. There has been so many stories around magic and so many stories created around our power and magic itself.
Well, that's to give it an identity, as we were talking in the last episode, and context for it, right?
Exactly.
Because if anything can happen and it's unlimited and it can move in any shape, way, or form, then we can't put it in a box and it's unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And therefore we don't know how to direct it, as it were.
Yeah. And that's why it's been misunderstood and misinterpreted and abused and manipulated. Yeah. Oh, why now do I understand the previous episode so much more?
I know.
God damn it. But there is only one kind of magic. That is it. That is it. And it is born from our power to create. It's just going to be practiced in a variety of ways because it's formed by the person who's enacting it.
That makes sense, actually.
Which means it has it has each of our unique imprints. Again, harkening back to whatever episode 2 where we talked about our point of essence and our uniqueness.
Yeah. It's a bit like when we talked about purpose a couple of episodes ago, and we were saying how you might have, like 17 people might have an emotional purpose, but how each of them do that in the real world will be very, very different because it's going to have their own blueprint, their own uniqueness, as it were.
Exactly.
This is the same thing, right? Yeah. So I could do something that feels like magic to me, and it will because it's my magic, but you could do something that's entirely different. But as long as you're creating, it's the same. So
everything has a different expression, yeah? But the magic and our power to create is known as the divine in action.
Because we're the divine and we're doing shit.
Yes, exactly. We are creating.
But what does that mean, though, when you are being divine? You are the divine in action. The divine in action is just being able to move from one reality to another. So we're like quantum leaping? Technically, yes. Although, and I will say this, I mean, we are going to be really firm. No one right now is quantum leaping anything. Okay? So all those people who are claiming to be quantum leaping, they are not. So it's moving from one reality to another. What do you mean by that? So it's the ability to make real something that does not yet exist on the physical plane, just for the express purpose of serving us. Okay. So for example, in one reality, I don't have the yummy chocolate cake. So I want to go to a reality where I do have the yummy chocolate cake. That's what you mean, effectively. I mean, in the simplest terms, yes. Okay. Which makes me really want to have chocolate cake right now. I'm going to have some later. But so effectively when you're saying from moving from one reality to another, it's almost like, well, in this reality, I'm missing this. So I want to go to a reality where I have it. I don't currently have this. Oh, yeah, there's no missing. Yeah. In this reality, I don't currently have this. Yes. So I would like to move to a reality where I do. Yes. Which is effectively, I'm going to create this thing so that it is in my reality. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. All right. Which then, once you have it, shifts your entire reality because everything's energy, right? So when we're adding that new vibration to our reality, something cool happens, especially if it's born from a desire. Yeah. Okay. So I think one of the most important points of what I just said was that it's whatever we create is for the express purpose of serving us. Yeah. Okay. So when something serves us, what does it bring us? Joy. Joy. Yeah. Yeah. And so when we are not pain to then get to joy, which is kind of why I've been banging maybe all about that for a while too. Maybe. So it's just joy, full on, straight up. It's just joy. Yeah. There's no other word for it. Yeah. No, I'm wondering, is there going to be a string of like synonyms? No. What I meant was like, it's not like, oh, here is a lesson to then get you to more joy. God. It's just not at all. Joy. Not at all. When it comes to magic, specifically magic, and no other concept that somebody wants to somehow add to it as if they're going to make it somehow more special, because it's not. Again, there is a fundamental principle in just the one. Yeah. So nobody gets to go around redefining it any more than it has, because that's just bullshit. And by the way, we'll just merely dilute your power. So when we manage to conjure or create something for the express purpose of serving us, so then it enters our life somehow, in whatever way it does, and that brings us joy, not happiness, just joy, pure, unadulterated joy. That lifts us, right? Yeah. When we add that energy to our lives, we experience a vibrational shift. Because we get higher vibration-y.
Yes. And the more we conjure, the more we create,
the higher we get.
The higher we get.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Magic is a tricky one because it's not associated with bliss. It is what is required to make magic that gets us to bliss.
Okay. Which is our divinity.
Yes.
Okay.
And our power and being the divine in action.
Okay.
Yeah. So effectively, that is the point of magic, which is to serve us. It serves us individually. It is not necessarily about servicing or being in service to a collective.
Which, by the way, I was just thinking in my head how interesting you're using the word serve. Because obviously when we talk about purpose, we talk about to serve. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things that we had to kind of work through and refute was that service wasn't in sacrifice to. That actually you were adding your joy to the collective. Yeah. Therefore, you were increasing the collective's joy. Mm-hmm. This is exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you're adding more joy to your life, therefore increasing your joy. It's exactly the same. I guess we've redefined serve, or maybe we did that already and I missed it. But like,
I think we're just expanding and expanding.
Yeah, but that makes total sense. Mm-hmm. As in that, like, when you think about our purpose is to just do whatever we want to be. So there's one happier person in the collective, and that byproduct does so much for the collective. It raises the collective. Yeah. And that's how we all serve in our own unique ways. This is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. But it's just applying to something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Wow, really that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Finally, I understand purpose because I understand this more. How great!
Which is really, and it's really special. And I kind of feel like this episode's not really going to do magic justice, which is 100%. Why we had to write the books about it, because we can't. There's almost too much, as you know, so much information that it's going to be contained in 3 books, and then to put it in a single podcast episode.
But I assume there'll be more podcasts about this, since there's a magic series and there's 3 of them.
Yeah, there will be some. Yeah, but it's all going to be components of magic, not necessarily how to practice magic.
Okay. What a shame. I'm going to ask more questions then.
Okay. You're like, anyway, let's see what you can squeeze out of me.
Yeah.
Or out of guidance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, and this is really important. So, as you were saying, magic really does enhance and enrich our lives.
A bit like purpose.
A bit like purpose. Yes. But it has nothing to do with our purpose. And there is that very distinct line that is really important.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's based just on the 3 things. Yeah. Joy, which is what we've kind of just banged on about. Desire and hope. Joy,
bringing more joy to our world. Desire, as in?
It's an expression of our desires. If you can feel it in your bodies, in all of your bodies, physical, emotional, mental, spirit, like that's where my desire comes from.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. When I feel like all 4 are aligned, it's like a moment of wholeness.
Yeah.
And very clear. That's normally when I know, oh, this is a desire.
Yeah, exactly. It's that level of clarity and consciousness.
All my bodies are firing off and are in tune together, desiring the same thing at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it's not from a place of lack. It's not from a place of need. It's not so I don't know I'm not good enough without it or any of that. It's just this would enhance my life. Mm-hmm. And I'd really like to experience it.
Just to be clear, that is where magic and manifestation diverge. I mean, there's many, many places in which they diverge, but it's because we are coming from a place where we are not in our karma. Mm. We hold no fear. Mm-hmm. And we have 0 ego to inform what our desires should be.
Yeah, so we just know and I've said this actually a lot, and I'm pretty sure I've said this on the podcast as well. It's much more about how you feel rather than what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's what we're working with.
And that is why we have to release ourselves from any expectation. And that is why history ceases to be relevant.
Because you don't know what it's going to look like, what will make you feel that way.
You can't possibly know.
You just don't know what will make you feel that way anymore.
And so all of your old stories, your personal history cannot inform how your future will look.
Yeah.
You will never know how it looks.
No, or what you may know is how it feels.
And even then, maybe not.
No, but you can at least know what the next step feels like, is what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, you could have that sort of, as you might describe it, that's sort of peaceful. I know this one brings me peace. That's where my next step lies.
Yes.
For me,
it's more now. It's exciting.
I was going to say, for me, it's more the excitement. Yeah. I just get this charge, and I just have that clarity, and I just know it.
When I feel like I'm looking forward to something, I know it's the next move.
Well, our bodies know when joy is coming. Yeah. It's like the pre-orgasm.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Into it. Plus you made it sexy, so I'm more into it.
Thank you. I do have that capacity. Yeah. I'm really not that boring.
No, I know. You write sexy books.
I just came across the phrase hard nipples in one of my books, and I thought, oh, geez. Our body really knows when joy is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sometimes have feared that feeling. So we have like really...
Because we're feared that it won't come because we're fearing disappointment, which is what kind of brings us on, I guess, to the third thing that magic is based on, which is hope. What we associate hope with is disappointment. So we're afraid to hope because we're afraid to be disappointed. Yeah,
that the inevitability of hope is failed expectation.
Exactly.
Or unmet expectation, really. Hope is the elevated knowing that everything will work out for our highest good, and that every outcome of our desire will be exactly what we wanted, whether we realized it or not.
Oh, that second part gives me that looking forward to feeling. It's
I really
exactly
like that.
What we wanted, whether or not we realized.
So
really
do you remember how in the previous episode, how, I kind of talked about when you're just out of your karma, things kind of look similar or about the same, but the more you're out of it and that kind of you've burned down the house because you don't have fear and the ego's gone, is when life can look different.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you have the same literal four walls of your house, somehow your life is just different. And you just feel it, you know it, you see everything differently, you're seen and perceived differently. It's just different.
To the point that you don't remember what it was like before.
Right, exactly. When you've stepped into this magical version of yourself, that divine in action, it also takes time. Yeah.
To cement that.
To cement that. Not just cement it, but to see all the micro ways in which it happens. And I think we talked about that in one of the books as well. It happens in small ways. And then those small ways get bigger and bigger and bigger until you can start to produce fundamental changes. Yeah. Whether it be through your income, through relationships, through experiences that just become bigger and brighter, right? Because it mirrors and serves you as you come into the bigger version of yourself. So much like how post-karma, things have to be done incrementally or simply, so that way we don't just keel over from the shock of just having to lead different lives. We get there. It's us developing our power.
Get into that space. Do you kind of come in and out of it, though? Once you're in it, are you in it forever? Or can you
No, because now remember that when we are our magical selves, we're not necessarily our purpose-led selves. Okay. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean that they're divergent or that they can't operate at the same time, but they're not going to necessarily operate in tandem. That's just a kind of a subtle nuance. We can't say that they're separate because they're not, because they're still within you.
It's still you.
Yeah. But one enhances the other one has nothing to do with the other.
So magic enhances your purpose, but purpose has nothing to do with your magic.
Correct. Cool. So why does magic matter then?
Well, because we want to live happy lives. That's the point of all of this.
Because it helps bridge 3D and 5D.
Okay.
It helps us get to imagine and create a world that we cannot see.
But it makes sense because one of the big things about 5D is play.
Yeah.
So how can we create a world of play when we can't play in it?
Yeah.
We have to be able to have fun.
Exactly, because 5D is about joy and all the things that have to do with joy.
So magic effectively is the way in which we can create that joy and bring all the things to our lives that we really desire.
Because we all have the capacity to be the divine in action. We all have the capacity to practice magic, especially in 5D. And really only in 5D can we do that.
But we have to be in 5D, not the whole world has to be in 5D.
Correct.
Because to be in our power is to not rely on anyone else. If we're waiting for other people to get into their power so that we have ours, it's not power.
Well, if you think about it, to be the divine in action in 3D took a lot, right? I mean, it took a lot to be able to have all that power, to harness it in a way in which one can create another reality that was not dependent upon polarity, that had to exist outside of the space that is dictated by the 3D framework.
Was it ever possible? Did anyone ever do
Oh, absolutely. And that's where witches and warlocks and sorcerers and magicians, that's how they could exist. But the reason why people could become magical beings, as in creator beings, is 5D supports it. That's why I'm so excited to be able to share this with people, that this is what's coming. And it's so important for many reasons, in part because again, to be able to envision and help create 5D and help bring it about and move out of 3D, we do need magic. It's not just going to we're not going to wake up one day and the world is just going to look so dramatically different.
No, we're going to have to create that world, and we're going to have to do it. Because I don't know whether we've said it somewhere, but for me, magic is, well, as well as moving from one reality to another way of looking at it is actually something that seems impossible to figure out how to do.
Yeah.
Magic helps us do the impossible, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because if we think that it's limitless possibilities, therefore everything is possible.
Yeah.
Therefore magic facilitates that impossible. I don't know how I will be able to do this. Magic will help me figure it out, right? Yes. In order for us to build 5D out of 3D seems impossible. Therefore we need magic to do it.
Yeah. It's just that, yeah.
And as a side note, I just want to say, I'm so happy for you that for the first time, you're not being the voice of doom and gloom, but the voice of joy, hope, and desire.
Yay!
It's a big, we've really moved on from war and desolation are coming and we're never going to make it to, but look, here's magic and everything's fun time. So real happy on that side.
Thank you. And thank you for noticing that. And it took 8 seasons. Now, it's funny because maybe that's why I feel kind of high right now, is because we finally get to talk about that. And I finally get to say, but look, here are the possibilities and they are limitless. And so even if you've laid waste karma, fear, and ego, not all is lost with it. Yeah. It's just in that sort of the barren wasteland of the detritus of your former life.
You get to create whatever the fuck makes you happy.
Precisely. And again, why that previous episode had to be recorded, it's like clicking more and more.
Yeah.
Why our history cannot remain relevant.
Because then we can't create something new if we're just recreating what we've already known.
Exactly. Having the courage to make the choice.
Which is effectively coming from the heart, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That allows you to really create everything else.
It's being heart-led, yeah.
Yeah. So are there rules? I'm going to just go back to this. Are there rules, guidelines? How do we use it?
So there are...
I want some...
Yeah, you want some information,
I want some meat.
Concrete shit.
Yeah.
So there are, again, there are no rules in 5D, as we've said, just guidelines and principles. And those will always be reflective of our divine values.
So for me, they're fun, play, sex, joy.
Right. Well, the divine is all about play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about fun. It's
so
all,
why would it exist?
Yeah. We've come so far in separation that, and this is why it's so doom and gloom, or when we talk about 3D, it's so doom and gloom is because of separation, because it has moved us so far out of our divine selves that we have forgotten what true union looks like.
Yeah, and we keep saying that, separation means that with a good, there's a bad, there's a pass, there's a fail, etc. But actually, it's true that without polarity, they can be good with no downside.
Yeah, but we have to allow that happiness and that joy
because we just
to sort of fill that void that the end of 3D will create. Yeah. Now, I love all of this because there will be so much pain that is born out of the end of 3D.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't even touched on
sure.
it. It's grief, but it's also pain. I'm not saying that you'll feel that on an individual level, but there will be collective pain because, again, it is the loss of the world we know.
Yeah.
And unless we have been working toward building our own lives and our own world that's reflective of our joy and our happiness and our love, and that one is purpose filled, that old shit is going to creep up and find its way in and make us kind of sad.
We don't want that.
I don't want that.
No,
somebody may not mind. Somebody might be like, bring it. I feel alive when I feel sad.
Yeah, no. I want to feel happy and excited.
Right.
I feel alive when I'm excited. It's literally my rocket fuel.
Same. I'm still floating from that one definition that came out.
I mean, I'm just excited about everything. I'm annoyingly excited about the perfect sentence and the most beautiful paragraph and the most gorgeous day. I'm fucking annoying. But how do we do it?
How do we?
We need something. How do I practice magic apart from being uniquely me?
And being the divine in action and becoming that 5D person by laying waste our karma and our fear and our ego.
Yeah. Give me one tangible thing that I can do going forward.
Okay, we're going to give you 3 tangible things.
Oh my God, I got so much more than I bargained for. Magic.
Now let's see if I can pull them in.
Yeah.
So the first would be to imagine a world in which you could live that you have not yet experienced. I mean, really like that. You have to go there. This is what I want Mayan entire existence to look like and be based on. Like that big. You got to go big, but not from a fantasy place.
Oh, I don't know the difference then.
It's not fantasy. It's I know. And so, okay, so what you can do is you can just sort of lie down in your meditative space, right? And it kind of needs to be a meditative space because you need to not be daydreaming. And in that space, just ask your heart, what does my world look like?
Okay.
Very simple question. And you will know.
Okay.
Because that is really how we will create a different world, is when we really can
see it.
Yeah. Okay, so the second point, what is the life that belongs to me within that world?
Oh, we have to do the world first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, this is all in order.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, this is interesting. And by different, I kind of mean different from the first two. What is the one thing about my life that I no longer need?
Why?
Why do you think?
Because then we can replace it with something else. We make space.
Exactly. You paused a little too long than your usual pause that I got nervous.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, no, because I was applying to myself, sorry.
You like to real time this shit.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what is the one thing? And I was like, yeah, but then that, and then, oh, okay. Then I realized, because then I felt space and I freaked out. So I was like, oh, that's what it is. It's space.
Yeah, it is. It's to make space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not in the manifestation-y way of like, oh, I have to make room so that way somebody new will come into my life.
100% no. Because when we talk about the history repeating itself over and over again, right? Mm-hmm. Unless we have a bit of a blank slate for something that we've never experienced before to appear, we will end up recreating what we already know over and over again, which is a big part of karma and the patterns, etc., as a side note.
Yeah.
So really when we say make space is hold a place of open heart with no expectation and allow whatever is going to come into that place to come in. So it's not physically about removing people from your life or going without. You know, a bullshit example, if you want to meet someone, and we've said this by the way, we said this ages ago in one of the podcasts, like, for example, people who want to meet someone, but they don't want to go without not having sex. You can still sleep with people whilst holding space for someone to come in. But that holding space is just, my heart is open, I have no expectations, and I'm willing to follow wherever my life leads me. So it's not about foregoing one for the other, because that is old age manifestation bullshit, because that implies tests. That implies that you have to suffer in order to get.
Sacrifice.
And sacrifice, exactly. And it implies that one comes after the other in some way, when actually the whole point of 5D is we hold everything at once, right? Multiple truths. That's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about multiple things, multiple. So it isn't about that. It's about just, can I have space in my head? Can I have space in my heart? Mm-hmm. Can I allow to be surprised? Like Liz was surprising because she didn't read the outlines after she did them, so she didn't know history was going to be so important. But can I be surprised? Can I just follow the feeling wherever it may lead and know that I will end up in the place where my life is even better than I could have ever dreamed of it.
Exactly. You can't understand where your place will be in that world unless you can already perceive the world.
Well, for me, it's like I can see the world for what it is right now, and my place in this current world is just help change it. Mm-hmm. So, but I guess that's purpose-based.
Yeah.
Whereas, I guess magic-based is, what am I going to change it into? Mm-hmm. And so what do I need in order to have that world exist? That makes sense. Yeah. Precisely. I mean, the irony of it all is you ended up channeling in the stuff and I ended up giving the practical advice. Follow the feeling, remain open-hearted, and hold space, which is hold no expectations or any history or any past, and just walk into a new reality. And all the while remaining your most powerful self. Because you're the one taking every single step and you're deciding what you want.
Thank you for listening. For more information, articles, and inspiration, find us at karmasmybitch.com and at karmasmybitch.insta.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.